Hello and welcome to Tech Terrain. I'm Tony Ndoro. Good to have you with us. You can look forward to a jam-packed show. We're focusing on high-value export commodities and we'll be looking at fruit this time around. Fruit farming in South Africa consists of a wide variety of fruits. It contributes to the South African economy since more than half of our agricultural exports are fruit. These fruits get produced from well-managed orchards where the infrastructure development and technology adoption is as important as fertilization, irrigation, pruning and spraying. Princess Mogale from the CGA Grower Development Company joins us in studio, as well as Peter Engelbrecht, also known as Pete Citrus. Team John Deere is back in studio, and we discuss the implementation of technology and mechanization for high-value export commodities. Remember to visit the Tech Terrain website regularly for bonus material uploaded every week. Let's kick off the show. Well, the citrus industry is well known for its progressive stance when it comes to transformation and also its assistance to new entrants into the citrus farming sector. Today, I want to talk about what it takes to be a new entrant in this particular sector and also how to progress to be a large-scale citrus farmer. To talk to me about all of this is Princess Mogale. She's from the CGA Grower Development Company, CGA standing for Citrus Growers Association. Princess, welcome to Tech Terrain. Are you well?
I'm very well. Thank you for having me.
No, fantastic. Good to have you with us. So, what does it take to start in this industry?
Well, firstly, we would need to look at the climate, and then you need to have land. It's important to have land, and obviously it's quite important that if your land is acquired on a lease, you have quite a number of years on the lease, at least 30 years, or if it's a PTO, which is a permission to occupy, which you'll mostly find with the chiefs, or a title deed. And then with that, then we'll need to look at the soil. The soil type is very important in order for you to grow citrus, and you need to have water. It's important to have water because citrus requires a lot of water during the summer months, as it is a winter crop. So with all of that, then if you've got all the resources in place, then you will be able to start. But you also need quite a lot of support, technical support as well as production support in order to be able to plant the right cultivars within the right regions.
Okay, so a lot of things there. I'm just curious, why do I need to have a long lease?
Because having an orchard, for instance, it takes quite a lot of time to break even. Firstly, so it takes about 4 years to break even to get all your money back. Secondly, you need to be able to actually get your money's worth out of it. Yeah. And with certain cultivars, when you're paying royalties, I don't think anybody would want to plant trees and then 6 years later have to cut them down, after having invested so much. So it is advisable to be able to keep your orchard for as long as the tree can produce fruit.
Royalties, talk to me about that.
Royalties mostly, I'll give you an example with a cultivar like the Tango. It is soft citrus that we find in South Africa. Farmers that plant it have to pay royalties to the owner of the genetic material. And mostly because it is a high yield, high value fruit. It is very sweet. Most people love it. And I've seen that with most farmers in our country, they export most of their produce from the Tango. So, and it's mostly sought after. So everybody would want to consume that kind of fruit.
Okay, so you're paying royalties per plant, per tree.
Per tree.
Wow.
Yeah.
So Grower Development Company, talk to me about that. What do you guys do?
So the Citrus Grower Development Company focuses on transformation, and we're trying to get as many black farmers to be commercial, but also just to be involved in the industry. And we provide them with support. We enhance production skills, we enhance technical skills, we provide access to funds and resources. We also ensure that they comply with the relevant policies and requirements within the industry.
So you've got certain programs in place?
We've got programs in place. I'm based in the business support sector or business support department, and our programs look at ensuring the farmer has got financial assistance, which we won't necessarily give to the farmer directly, but we will pay the supplier for whatever the farmer needs for their inputs. And one such program is the Enterprise Development Program, where the farmer will send through an application with their needs up to 150,000 rands. And we will look at the supply, we'll vet the supplier, and we'll ensure that they are compliant, for instance, with taxation, and they are registered with the CIPC in South Africa. And then from then on, we will make payment for the specified inputs that the farmer needs. And we'll ensure that when delivery takes place, it is actually what the farmer ordered.
Okay. Talk to me about technology in this particular space. Is there a lot of uptake, and does it assist as well?
Yes, technology is actually quite important, and I think one of the most important things we can look at is in the packing facilities rather.
Yeah.
And it is important to have the right cooling systems in place, as well as the right packing machinery, because you don't want to damage your fruit in the process. It needs to be in the best quality possible, as well as measures that are in place for quality control. That helps a lot to make sure that we maintain our standards and we can compete with the rest of the world. And when we look at water management systems as well, that is very important, because then you'll find that you won't necessarily need to physically go open the tap or the pump, but you can put it on a system and it will automatically go on at certain times, you know. And with any crop, it is important to note the best times to irrigate. So some crops, it's best to irrigate at night or during the day. So once that is then in a system, you don't necessarily have to wake up at 3 a.m. to go switch on the pump.
Very true. Talk to me about beneficiation. Do you urge your farmers, or the people that you support, or the farmers you support, to actually start doing that with their crop?
We do. We try to ensure that farmers are in the best possible place to compete in any sense, you know. And what we do is we will provide mentorship or training or study groups to ensure that they can compete with the rest of the world. And when we do, for instance, infrastructure or equipment training, we do demonstrations, for instance. And because some farmers do not necessarily have the time to sit down and read.
They don't have the time, or they don't want to sit down.
They don't have the time, but they're also not willing to be away from their crops. So when you're there to try and benefit them or to try and equip them, you want it to be as fast as possible, as efficient as possible, and you want it to be as simple as possible, so that they can now go and replicate what you've demonstrated. Okay,
so basically do all of that within their environment.
Within their environment. We always try to ensure that our support takes place at the farmers, you know, where the farmer is, or where the farm is.
Okay, I know you said this, you do focus on new entrants into the market. Is there a lot of uptake? Are there new farmers looking at the citrus produce?
There are a lot of farmers looking at it, and as I've mentioned before, it's not necessarily easy to get into the industry, hence the GDC is there. We will provide support, for instance, in acquiring your first crop or your first trees, your first bunch of trees. However, there's still some challenges where a farmer is required to put down a deposit, and then we can finance the rest, or we can fund the rest as a part of a grant. And you'll find that some farmers don't necessarily have the 50% deposit that is required. However, I think with proper planning, and we do get a lot of farmers that approach us, you know, and they require assistance with the development of a bankable business plan, then we will physically be involved. We'll be on the farm, do evaluation, and we'll make sure that the climate is right for the farmer to go into citrus farming. Then we will call in stakeholders within the industry that we've worked with to come and assist. And the farmers sometimes won't necessarily even have to come up with the deposit, but for instance, getting the government involved and the land bank involved and the CGA group, other companies within the CGA group can get involved to provide research and as well as training, because we've got the Citrus Academy, for instance. And then we also just make sure that the farmer gets the right business support that they require.
Okay, Princess, just to wrap this up, would you encourage young farmers to get into citrus farming?
Definitely, for two reasons. Farming is the future, and I think another point that we need to note is that South African citrus makes up to 50% of our fruit exports. You know, so definitely there is a market for it. So one will definitely make quite a bit of money from that. And then another thing is that there are resources in place, like the Jobs Fund, and the stakeholders involved. They are the Department of Agriculture, the CJ is involved, Lima is involved, as well as the Land Bank. And currently the Jobs Fund is in place for the next 3 years, so people can apply for the next 3 years, and we do assist in the application process. You can also go on the CGA GDC website. You'll find there's a link there for applications. Our number is there, email addresses are there, so farmers can get in touch with us, and we will try our best to assist, especially now during the trying times. We do try to assist as best as we can, but there are definitely resources in place, and I would encourage and urge all young South Africans, the youth, to get involved in citrus farming.
Princess, thank you so much for coming through to Take Terrain. Wonderful speaking with you.
Thank you so much for having me, Tony.
Well, there you heard it. Princess, she's from CGA Grower Development Company. There's a lot of assistance if you want to get into the citrus farming arena. And also, as she said, it can be pretty lucrative. Now, earlier on, we spoke to the Citrus Growers Association of South Africa on this show. And what came out of that is that citrus exports in South Africa garnered over $1.4 billion in 2019 alone. So it is a massive sector in agriculture. I want to speak now to one of the major citrus farmers in South Africa, and it's Piet Engelbrecht of the Piet Engelbrecht Trust. Piet, thank you so much for joining us. You're farming in the Limpopo province of South Africa. Tell us about your operation.
Thank you, Tony. Yes, our operation is, like you say, in the Limpopo province, closer to Marble Hall. That is in the Loskop Valley irrigation area. And yes, we produce citrus. We are citrus producers, and we are also involved in before the production up to the marketing. We try to be in the whole chain.
Okay, so it's the whole value chain.
Yes.
And you're also exporting as well.
Yes, we do.
Okay. Now, Piet, what is the foundation of good orchard management?
The first thing is that you have to have a good soil, good fertigation, and good irrigation. And if you can combine that three and you manage it well, then you will have a healthy tree.
Now, Piet, when we talk about some of the challenges facing farmers in South Africa, we've just come out of a very serious drought in certain provinces. Did that affect your operations?
My own operation, no. Luckily we have our irrigation dam, Loskop Dam, was almost 100% full for the whole season. But more north to the northern parts, there are large problems of drought, and they're still suffering from problems with drought.
You mentioned you're a turnkey operation, you're exporting. What are your biggest export markets?
Depends on which year it is. If you have more larger fruit or more, the different markets in the world want different sizes of fruit, and better cosmetical or less cosmetic, depends on how the market wants.
How are you finding the local market? Is that growing as well?
Yes, I think the local market is growing. There are previously we were going to the, as we call it, the municipal markets, and yes, there is markets that are directly also. So yes, it's a large market that still grow.
Yep. Are you finding government is assisting you in growing that export market that we're talking about?
Yes, I think we get a commitment from government that helps us to grow in the export market. There is help from the Department of Trade, and so yes, Minister Patel, they're always willing to help us, and I think yes, we got a necessary assistance.
Okay, and you're working with the CGA, of course. You're part of the CGA. Does that assist as well?
Yes, that assist. I think if they weren't there, then we would have been in big trouble already. So yes, you need a body that can do that kind of work for you.
Talk to us about good farming practices when it comes to citrus farming.
Good practices is you have to do everything on time, not upfront and not too late. And then you have to do your record keeping is one of the main issues, as you have your global gap that you have to comply with. And so yes, everything must run accordingly to that. And as they say, the customer is always right. So you have to produce what the customer wants,
Yeah.
and how he or she wants it.
You speak of global gap. What is that?
Global gap is actually what the global stands for, what it is for globally, and then the gap stands for good agriculture practices.
Ah.
And that is from where did you buy your tree, and how did you grow it, and with what do you spray it, and when did you spray it, and then there's also some social things in the audit.
So the end user, your buyer will audit where
Yes.
he's buying whatever the product is from, and you have to basically tick all those boxes before he says, I'm about to buy this product from you, is what you're saying.
Yes. Yeah, if you don't have your global gap certification, you're not allowed to export to any global market. Yes.
Talk to us about technology in your space and how it's assisting maybe to enhance your yield.
When it comes to irrigation, technology is very important there for how much water you put down on a tree, and when do you put it on. So that technology is playing a role, and then also in the fertigation of how much nutrition you put down in a certain period, and the water, to measure the water quality, and any problems that can arise because it's also almost like a dairy.
Yeah.
It's a 24/7, and if there's a problem occurring, then they have to they must be able to see it either on a cell phone or on a computer or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
From a layman's point of view, I mean, any youngster sitting there or watching us now will think, okay, it's an easy thing. All I have to do is go and, plant an orange tree, plant a nachi tree, and just watch it grow. It really isn't that simple, is it?
No, it is easy to plant a tree. You just dig hole, but
You just dig a hole and you put it in 100%. Yeah.
Yes. But for the rest, it's a bit more difficult. You must have the courage to do it, and firstly, and then you must have some training at least, and know what to do and when to do it. I think that is the most important thing. So if someone is willing to learn, then he can be successful in it. It's not necessary to be a specialist in it.
Okay. Talk to us about resource management, because we're talking a lot about conservative farming. We need to sustainable farming. Are you finding your practices within the citrus sector changing a lot based on sustainable farming?
Yes. If we talk about sustainable farming, I think there's a lot of things that change, like the demand on which kind of fruit they eat. There is a movement from hard citrus, as we call it, to more soft citrus. But although there's still a market for the hard citrus, but people are more concerned about what they eat, and so that's where the lemon market is a good market, and it's still growing.
Now, Pete, South Africa is the second largest exporter of citrus fruit in the world. That is absolutely massive. But when you look at the land that we have, that's arable land or land suitable to grow, it's not that much. So we're doing amazingly well. We're doing a fantastic job with what we have, isn't it? How are we doing that?
I think everyone, if you're a citrus farmer, you have to maximize your potential growth and your yield, and to do it on the right place that is suitable for producing citrus. So yeah, there is not much places that is suitable for maximum production.
Yeah.
And still we can manage to do that. And I think the market in South Africa, we produce a lot fruit for local consumption.
Yeah, well, let's just take it back to that local consumption, because if you look at layman's terms, you've got your fruits in your supermarkets, you've also got the informal traders as well. Obviously, that fuels a lot of that demand, because you've got a guy selling fruit on many, many street corners in South Africa.
Yes, the thing is that if you produce a fruit, not all the fruit are 100% cosmetically right or suitable for export.
Yeah.
So you still have to use your local market or your informal market. I think the informal market consumption is about up to 35% of the consumption is at the local market, the informal market. Yes.
Yeah.
So it is a large part of the market.
Are you seeing a lot of young players coming in? I'm not saying I'm not saying you're not young, Pete, but are we seeing new farmers entering into the citrus sector?
Yes, there are new farmers entering. Not really new ones. It's actually children coming back to the farm and or was previously working on a farm that is coming back. So yeah, we try to make it more attractive, but it's not, the thing of farming is there's no quick buck in it, and I think that is what is not attractive to youngsters, but they come back.
They end up coming back onto the farm. It's all about the land. Pete, lovely speaking with you, and good luck with your operations post-pandemic as well.
Yes, thank you, Tony. Thank you, Gunia.
All right, fantastic. Well, there it is, Piet Engelbrecht from the Piet Engelbrecht Trust, talking to us about his particular operation in the Limpopo province in South Africa. And I suppose the big takeaway from this particular conversation is that it's not as simple as just planting a tree. There's a lot more to citrus farming.
Improve treatment quality to automated intelligent solutions such as John Deere's M series of specialty sprayers for vineyards, olive and orchards, as well as our R100 series for citrus and our R300 vineyard mist blower sprayers. Control and monitor important sprayer parameters with the intelligent solution such as the ID Intelligence Package for ultrasound detection, IM Intelligence Package for dose calculation based on tree row volume and ground speed, and IS Intelligence Packages for air volume and dose regulation according to tree row volume and ground speed. Documentation is stored in the Specialty Crops platform and allows for work order and creation and sprayer configuration to meet your needs. Focused Air Blast provides direct and efficient coverage on leaves and fruits, giving you more control and greater results.
Right, joining me now is Nelius Oosthuizen and Jean Elo. They're going to talk to me about the importance of getting the right mechanization when you're farming high-value export commodities. Gentlemen, good to have you with us on Tech Terrain as always. Nelius, if I may start with you, what sort of commodities are we talking about here?
So Tony, we're talking specifically about citrus, table grapes, palm and stone fruits. With the current new cultivars of soft citrus and lemon and lime, the expectancy is that South Africa will produce over 500,000 tons of citrus by 2028. If we go over to the whole Africa continent, tea, coffee, cacao, rubber, palm oil and flowers, that also needs specialized equipment to produce it in the best way.
Okay. Talk to me a little bit more about the mechanization. How does it differ when it comes to some of those commodities that you're talking about?
So with this high value crops, you want to have the best or the highest yield from the smallest area of field. Rows are much narrower to each other. Plants are more densely populated and the machine must be adapted to fit into that rows.
Well, John, broadly, what products does John Deere offer for these commodities we're talking about?
In terms of solutions, Tony, we've got what we call the MNR, and my colleague Nelius here will touch on, go into details. You don't just need a sprayer, you also need a tractor, both in season and out of season. And so we have the 5E 5EN, which is a narrow tractor. We also have the 5EF, which is made specifically for the fruit industry. On top of that, for haulage activities and stuff like that, you also need the 5D. In terms of what is coming, especially for those within the flour industry in Kenya, Tanzania, and other places that my colleague talks about, we also have the 3EN, which is currently in development. So those are the solutions that we have for our customers in the high value crop sector.
Okay. Nelias, let me come back to you and talk to me about the M&R specialty sprayer. What are the benefits and applications?
Yes, thank you for the question, Tony. On the M&R sprayer, this is a specialty crop sprayer. We integrated technology into that sprayer. Since all of this high value crops are export driven, you need to have traceability on it. The intelligence packages on these sprayers allow customers to get detailed reports of the chemicals that was sprayed, at the rate it was sprayed, and the amount, so that they can report to specific organizations like EuroGap and getting the fruits exported.
Well, Jean, it's also important to have the right tractor, the tractor that suits your whatever it is that you're farming.
Spot on, Tony. Not just a tractor. You know, as a farmer, you want the best solution, you know, that will help your business be profitable. And so we talk about fuel efficiency when we talk about tractors. We also talk about the durability of the engine as well as the transmission. And so when I was talking, I talked about the various list of equipment that we have, especially the 5EN. That comes both also in open operator station as well as in cab version. And it's made in a way to be able to go in the very narrow rows that you have within those crops that my colleague Nelios talked about. For the 5D, it's also a very good tractor, which we normally will advise our farmers to use it off-season to move around the farm, to do all the work that needs to be done in terms of haulage, getting fruit together, and other things that the farmer could use it for. And also the 5EF, which is also a fruit specialty tractor, which you can use in season, you know, to move within the rows and to produce your crop. For farmers in the horticulture industry, Tanzania, Kenya, and other places, the 3EN, which I talked about being in development, is a tractor that is also coming. Today we have the open operator station version, which is, we've done some tests in Kenya, which is very, very, I'll say, came up with very good result. I mentioned comes with cab and also with open operator station. It is a tractor which fits perfectly into that industry. And I don't want to go back to our M&R sprayer, which is an intelligence machine. What that machine does is to be able to pick data from, you know, the area that it has worked. Traceability in the fruit industry becomes very, very crucial. You want to trace the source of your fruit. Yeah. So that sprayer does that job and making it very, very good for farmers within that sector.
Now, Nelias, just want to stay with one of the tractors that Jean mentioned, the 5EN cab, which was developed by JD specifically with the input of farmers. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct, Tony. So the main focus on designing that tractor was Argentina, California, and South Africa. Initially, there was only 3 units produced. One was shipped to South Africa. We had an approach of Agri-Le Mans on this machine, where we had to work the maximum amount of hours on the machine in South African conditions, putting it through its paces. And in 12 months, we accumulated 2,700 hours on that tractor.
John, lastly, they talked to me about the integration of technology into a lot of the equipment that you've spoken to me about.
Yeah, Tony, I'll go back to my earlier word that, you know, within the specialty crop sector, just to highlight a bit what my colleague touched on, cocoa, rubber, you know, all the fruits and the orchards. traceability is key. And so we as a company have taken, that into consideration whilst we're building our equipment. So there is technology available when you use, especially when you use our equipment, you are able to, the MNR sprayer, you are able to know where you've sprayed, the amount of chemical you sprayed on those particular fruits. And so you can, just by scanning, know which farm that crop came from and the amount of chemical that were used on that. So that's one bit of the technology. And there is also, we have Auto Track Universal on our machines, which helps to store information from the field into our system that takes it back to the cloud for the farmer to be able to assess wherever the farmer finds himself, be it in Bahamas or on Mount Kilimanjaro, having a good time. Yeah.
All right, Jean, Nelius, thank you so much for coming through to Tech Terrain.
Thank you, Tony.
Well, in conclusion, John Deere has the right equipment for you if you are farming any high-value export commodities. There you have it. Well, we hope you've enjoyed this episode of Tech Terrain. Join us next time when we take a look at initiatives taken by large-scale farmers to help smaller farmers in these trying times, and also the assistance given to communities in the farming space. Don't forget to go onto our website, techterrain.co.za, for bonus material uploaded every single week. For myself, Tony Ndoro, until next time, take care.